Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Sarah Martin with The Contoured Chemist. All right guys, we're going to talk about a very specific concern today. I have done many videos in the past about under eyes and dark circles and getting the best look from your makeup, whether you have mature skin or whatever your case may be. But dark circles are very different if you have just puffy under eyes or under eye bags. And so that starts with skin. We're going to talk about both sides of it, skincare, what you can do to kind of minimize it, and then how you would apply your makeup differently if that is your area of concern. So if you want to check it out, please keep watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and thanks for being here. Okay guys, so I even attempted to make myself puffier today by eating lots of chips and salsa and cheese dip yesterday, thinking the sodium would help, but I am a little puffy, but it could definitely have been worse. So I'm gonna show you guys what is the difference between puffy under eyes and if you're needing a color corrector. Under eye circles is a color issue. Puffy under eyes or under eye bags is not a color issue. When I say color issue, I'm talking about a discoloration, darker points under your eyes. So I have a little bit of both. So I'm gonna show you the best I can on my eyes, some things you can do to help before you put on your makeup, and then also how you apply a little bit differently if that is your problem. And you can have both. Like I have darkness under my eyes, but I also have mainly mine is just under eye, my contour of my face. So unfortunately guys, makeup cannot change the shape of your face. I'm sorry if that is new information to you. Now we can use makeup to disguise things and that is the whole point of contouring our face, is to enhance or diminish certain areas, but you can't just change the way your face is shaped. And if you have like strong orbital bones like I do, like I can't change that this is always gonna just stick out that far on my face and that this is gonna go in. Now there are options, medical options, obviously, surgical, under eye filler, that kind of stuff, but filler will not help. Puffiness is a concern. It will only help if you just have a lack of collagen in that area and you have a lot of like divots. As we age, obviously, we all lose collagen in those areas, and so you will get a little bit sunken in those areas, which will in turn make this part stick out. Depends on your bone structure. You can't change it. You can fill in certain things with filler, but it's not always an option for everyone. So let's talk a little bit about when you are puffy. Puffiness, when you have swelling in your face or when you have a buildup of the lymphatic system. If you don't know, the lymphatic system is what pushes all the fluids throughout your whole body. The weird thing is though, our face has no pumps to push anything out. So this means that if you are, say, prone to sleeping on your face or you sleep on your side, you might notice your face almost pulls with any of that fluid. And you have no way to get it out unless you do it manually. So there are a lot of options. I have shared videos and tutorials on all of these things, from rollers to gua sha. That is just simply, even just hand massage. That is a way to push the drainage out of your face, and it will reduce that swelling, puffy look even under the eyes. And so that's not something that I really deal with on a daily basis. I don't get super puffy in my whole face. One way to kind of minimize that is to get like a pillow that holds your head like this, because guess what? Then all that fluid's going to drain out of your face as you're sleeping. And so you're not going to have it collect in those certain areas. But I know it's hard to train yourself to sleep a completely different way. But if you are sleeping on your face, that is the easiest way to kind of help that. I'm going to show you what I would recommend if it's just under eyes. I'll be honest, I tend to just get puffy on my under eyes, whether I'm not getting enough sleep, which is a lot. If I have too much salt in my diet, I notice a difference. So me just having some chips yesterday, I can tell And this part always is like this, but I get puffy right here. You can almost see that puffiness, okay? And that is something we can easily kind of lessen. I don't want to say anything is a miracle and we'll just take it all away, but you can lessen that just by doing some quick skincare tips before you put on your makeup. So say you wake up and you're like, look in the mirror, dang, I'm puffy today. My first thought is, okay, I'm gonna slap this on while I'm making my coffee, and then by the time I'm ready to put on my makeup, it has lessened so much so. All right, so what are my favorites? First thing you wanna do is you wanna look out for a product with the ingredient caffeine. So caffeine is amazing because it will actually constrict those blood vessels and bring down that puffiness. The bad part about caffeine is that it's not an ingredient that's going to just, you use it for a little while and it's going to work forever. It is something that wears off in about 8 hours. So it's perfect to use in the mornings. There's no point to using it at night. So these are my usually just daytime kind of eye serums that if I wake up puffy, then I use them. If I'm not puffy, I tend to not use it. At least this first one. So I've used this one and shared it forever. It is very affordable. This is the Ordinary Caffeine Solution. It's 5% plus EGCG. Reduces appearance of eye contour, pigmentation, and puffiness. So it does have an ingredient other than just caffeine. So you can use this for pigmentation as well, dark spots. But this one is super easy because a little goes a long way and it lasts forever. And all you got to do is just kind of drop a little bit of serum on your eye and then tap it on. So I really wanted to share this one. This is one that I would use morning and night, even though it does have caffeine. It's new from Youth to the People. This is the Peptides Plus C Energy Eye Concentrate. Brighten, smooth, and depuff. So this one is more of an all-encompassing type eye serum, or I guess it's kind of more of a cream consistency. Because it does have vitamin C in it, and it has that caffeine to depuff, but it also has peptides, which are anti-aging if you watched my mature skin video. So all you want to do is you want to go with your ring finger, okay? I just tap in, and you literally need less than a pea size amount when you're going in with this type product. I feel like this is even a lot, okay? You want to hit that orbital bone. Okay, and you just want to tap. Now you use the ring finger because it has the least amount of pressure, and I just kind of tap it in that general vicinity. I kind of work it up a little bit since it does have that caffeine, and I am a little puffy right there, but I want to make this very clear that at night, I make sure I stay right here on this orbital bone because your eye cream, serum, gel, whatever you use, will travel up to 1 inch. If you're applying it right here at the lash line and you're waking up puffy every morning, it actually could be your eye cream that can travel getting into your eye and cause a buildup of fluid in that region. And so I typically recommend sticking right here. It will migrate all on its own, but you don't want that excess product getting in the eye. So what I like to do is I love my reusable ones because I'll be honest, I'm a little cheap and I want to be able to use something like this over and over again. But my daughter is on a skincare kick and I'm buying eye masks like crazy, and they just, you know, after a while it adds up, especially if you're doing this on the daily. These do forever eye masks. You can use anything with them. So I can use this in the mornings and then at night if I want my night eye cream to really penetrate. It slows absorption, keeps it in so it doesn't evaporate as much. And so you get a better penetration of any product you're putting under this. So I'm going to put these on and then I'm going to go in for some ice. Okay. I think probably everyone on the planet knows that ice will reduce swelling. Same thing goes, you put something cold, you can literally, first of all, this will push out that lymphatic drainage and reduce that swelling all at the same time. So I'd say if I had to pick one of everything, I would pick either an ice roller that I keep in the freezer or an ice rolly, which is one of the freezable glass, what are they called? Massage globes. So these are cool because you can like literally take them right under the eye when they're frozen, or you can even take this off and just kind of easily just depuff by using the cold of the wand too. So I typically grab one of these. If I really need a lot of lymphatic drainage, sometimes I'll go in with this and I will just kind of push that under the eye. You always want to push it outwards, out of the face, okay? And then you can even go in and do your full face and then push it down your neck. You can actually force it to go down through your neck through lymphatic drainage right here. But I'd say this is one of the easiest things. I actually just stole this out of my daughter's skincare fridge. I bought her one for her birthday. But you can literally get them anywhere. This one's Ulta's. I'll link a couple that I've used down below, but like Ulta, Amazon, pretty much everyone has ice rollers now. And this stainless steel gets even colder and lasts a little bit longer as well. So I'd say this is heavy hitter. If I am very swollen and puffy, I'm gonna use that caffeine. I'm gonna lock it in, and then I'm gonna go in with my ice and push that drainage out of my face. If you're not in a big hurry, this is again my daughter's. Isn't it cute? I think this is Target, that More Than Magic brand. But this is literally a freezable ice mask. And so I could also just put this on and like lay down. Not that I have time to do that in the mornings, but it is also an option. Is something like this that is also cold that you can put on. Now this won't push any drainage out, which is why it's not my favorite, but for teenagers, it's cute. Now another option, if you don't have something like this, is I just popped these out of my fridge. Is more of a one and done product. So this is the Pixie Detoxify. Get it? I couldn't read that for a second. And this is the depuffing version. So this one has ingredients very similar. You don't need a separate eye cream. And then I keep them in the fridge so that when I open them, they're already very, very cold. And so when I put them on, it will also have that constricting effect, more so than just something room temperature. Again, if you don't have a skincare fridge, I put these in my normal fridge. One day I will have one. These would be my first choice because they're cold. You're getting the cold and that lymphatic drainage at the same time. Now, if you do have a full face and you want to do the roller or something like the gua sha, I do recommend something like rose quartz. Rose quartz is one of the only natural stones that is naturally cooling, so you don't have to keep it in the fridge. It's already cold. Like this was not in the fridge and it's already as cold as some of these other products. Jade is one that you can then pop in the fridge, and that way you can have it cold as well. So it doesn't really matter what it's made out of if you keep it in the fridge. But if you don't have a fridge handy, I'd say grab one in rose quartz so it will have that cold effect as well. So after I've pushed that out for a few minutes, and say I always wear these about 15 minutes. So after you've used your roller, let it sit so that fully absorbs. Then you can take it off and we can come back and we can talk makeup. All right, friends, we are back. And can you guys tell a difference? I feel like I can. I am already less puffy under my eyes. So when I'm less puffy, it makes a greater difference between my under eye and this orbital bone. But I look so much more rested now. And I feel like sometimes that's the key for me. Do I look tired? Puffiness always makes me look tired. So now let's do makeup. We've got a really nice hydrated under eye. So we're gonna get less texture and we're gonna get more of a smoother finish anyway when we put on our makeup. So I do wanna say that this technique is more for 3D foundation and less than for Demi Colour, because Demi Colour is a color to color application. You can use Demi to disguise contour of your eyes, but it is extremely difficult in my opinion compared to 3D. Like, it's hard for me to do after years of practicing. So we're gonna stick with 3D. So the biggest question I get is that people aren't understanding when it is a color issue or if it's just they're trying to hide their under eye bag. So you gotta note that you can't just take one color, whatever that color might be, and go completely under the entire under eye, because what is that gonna do? It's just gonna make it one color, but it's not going to disguise your eye from seeing the natural contours of your face. We already established we were born with them. You can't change them, but you can trick the eye in very similar ways that we do with contouring and highlighting to brighten those areas that your natural contours are making into a shadow. Because shadows are dark, we can use light to bring that area forward. And so what it does is it almost gives more of a flattening effect to those contours around our eyes, but it isn't a color issue. I am gonna go ahead and start with my normal application of 3D all over, and I'm going to just stop after I do my main shade. Now, if you also have depth under your eyes in areas, you cannot just skip a color corrector, but you're looking at the darkest point. So if you have darkness in here like I do, you're still gonna have to use a color corrector and a main shade to kind of even out that area as much as you possibly can to disguise the depth and then even out the rest. And then we can play with that light and dark when we get to the brightener step. Okay, we are done contouring. Contour. If you understand contouring, this will make a lot of sense to you when we get to brightening. So I've got my color corrector on because I have a lot of darker points on my face that if I don't color correct those, it doesn't matter. They'll start showing through during the day and it's going to completely irrelevant if I use a brightener in key places because my entire under eyes are gonna look like I have no coverage soon. I use my main shade. That kind of helped build up coverage one more step and even out those areas a little bit more and actually allows you to see really clearly where your shadows are, okay? And so contoured using Astoria, okay? My face was flat, one color, no dimension. We added back in those dimension and shadows that our face naturally has. The point of contouring is to use dark to make these areas recede, okay? And so it actually creates that lift, dimension, contour back to our face. Okay, so when we get to the under eyes, we're wanting to diminish the contour we have, right? So we talked about can't change the contour around our eyes, but we can trick the eye, just like we are with contouring and making certain parts go back in order to make things look slimmer, plumper, lifted, all the things. Now we want to take away the shadows around our eyes, so we need to do the opposite. We need to brighten. We need to use a lighter color, and in order for us to use a lighter color, we have to make sure we've matched all those darker points, or with our makeup, it tends to just look cakey, usually pull a little chalky, and those lighter colors give very little coverage. So if I was to go directly in with these brightener shades, my under eyes would look 10 times older, okay? So that's why we match the darkest points, we even out. Now we can see, because we're one color, more or less. I still have a little depth showing through because you can't completely knock out all tones under our eyes. It's pretty impossible. So I'm gonna now look at those shadows, my natural shadows that my under eyes have, and that's where we're going to brighten. Okay, so doesn't matter what your under eyes look like. They probably look very different than mine because everyone's under eyes are very different. So if you have a legit bag where you can see a shadow, just look straight in the mirror and you want to find a brush where the end of it will match that size of where the shadow is. Okay, so if that means using the small end of the eyeshadow brush, or maybe using this small end of the bright brush that is actually a Demi brush is really good because it's got this tapered tip. Let me see if I can find my silver one. Problem is it's covered with Demi. Here we go. This is the one that you guys have. This is a really good brush to pinpoint that shadow, okay? And so we're gonna go with our brightener shade. Now, I will be honest, normally I tell people don't go 2, maybe 3 max down with your brightener from whatever your main shade is, okay? Because like I just said, so the lower you go in our line, the more chalky they can sit on your skin tone depending on what your skin tone is. And so some people that might be wearing these colors only have a couple of options. When I'm wearing this color and this color, and I typically brighten with this one, okay? So that is my normal brightener. If I was wanting a pop of brightness, which sometimes when we are disguising shadows, we typically sometimes need a little bit more brightness in certain areas. If you are using very little product in very specific areas, sometimes you can use an even brighter shade. But typically mine will pull like straight up chalk. You got to think how far down, how many colors down that really is, because it goes from here to here to here. If I was to use one of the 3 lightest shades, it pulls very chalky. It will show a lot more texture. And under our under eyes are a lot less forgiving than anywhere else on our face. That skin is different. And so Typically, if I really need a pop, I use my normal brightener shade, and then I can put a little bit of this color over that color because we're slowly stair-stepping. I color corrected, went down, then I brightened, and then if I put this over this shade, it sits on the skin way better than it would sit on this color. Does that make sense? And so sometimes I'll tell you, you guys stair step it a little bit in order to get a color to really sit well on the skin. And sometimes, depending on how deep or dark your shadow is, sometimes a touch more of a brightness or using more than one brightener can allow you to tweak it and get the best results. But it's not the case for everyone, so I'm not saying to go out and get a shade 4 shades lighter. It can apply too much product of that really light shade. I promise it will create texture, look cakey. Okay, I am gonna start with my normal brightening brush, so I'm not over applying. I feel like the smaller the brush you can go, the better. If you like a more full coverage look, I used to use this small end of the buff brush and apply it all over. Yes, it gave me more full coverage, but I wasn't strategically trying to diminish a shadow. No one's shadow is that big on their face. So you really need to use those more detailed brushes to pinpoint exactly where the shadows are to brighten just those points and not your entire under eye. We're not going for the triangle. We can then go down here with brightener or in other parts of the face. But when we're talking just under eye, it needs to be a small brush. So I'm gonna go ahead and use my normal brightener, which is Aura. I'm gonna just barely dab in, and then I'm gonna go into the darkest part of where I naturally have a shadow. A lot of people just have shadows right here. Now this isn't necessarily part of my eye bag, but typically when I start brightening, I start there. And I always just go down the side of my nose because I did nose contour, and you can see how dark the side of my nose naturally is. I'm just gonna go right there. And everyone's face is different. So you just gotta pay attention to, okay, where do I need it, okay? Skip this. This is always a place of high texture on pretty much everyone. So there's no need to brighten your nostril area, I promise. Okay, so then once I got that done, I'm gonna look straight and I'm gonna say, where is the shadow? Now, this can be really difficult if you are like a lot of people who just get ready in their bathroom and they have overhead lighting. You might always look like you have a shadow. You might not be able to typically see what's going on. And so I do recommend trying it with maybe front light or getting a makeup mirror or something that's lit so you can actually see where your true contours of your face are, because then it's going to be a lot easier to, overhead lighting will always cast a shadow and make the entire under eye look darker. Bathroom lighting, overhead lighting is the least flattering lighting on the face of the earth. So don't try to judge your under eyes in that light. I beg of you. No one looks good in that light. No one. This entire thing, I have front lighting. You can tell this side of my face is brighter because the sun keeps getting really bright today. But for the most part, it is all forward facing. Okay, so I can tell I'm gonna need a smaller brush than this. I might be able to use this brush for this part. Do you see how that right there is shadowed? Okay, so I might be able to use just the tip of this brush. And now this is a contour. You can already tell it just went away. This is a contour of my eye, but it is also, I'm building up coverage there. I don't know if you noticed before, that is an area of hyperpigmentation. A high area, I was trying to say high area of hyperpigmentation on me. High hyperpigmentation for me. So you can tell that built up coverage, but it also diminished that shadow. Do you see that? Okay, now this shadow is a doozy for me. So I'm gonna go in with a more, because if you were to go in with just the same brightness all over, guess what? It's not gonna actually take away that shadow. You're just going to brighten everything equally. And so you're not going to see your under eye area start to flatten. Okay, and that's what we're wanting. We're wanting to disguise and trick our eye. That is all. Now this is why we have to kind of touch those darker points first. Otherwise you'll always see the dark points shining through your brightener. It will never give you this no shadow look. You're going to see dark points. So this is why color correction is key. But this is my bad under eye. Everyone has a good and bad under eye. This is my bad under eye. And it is very hard unless I use this technique to take away. And still, you'll notice as you move your face, your shadows will change. Your contour will change. So you have to almost look at it from every angle and kind of adjust. So now I'm going to flip it over and use the bigger end. And I'm going to kind of change my face a little bit and try to brighten the shadow from every angle. And that some contours are just stronger than others. And so that would be a really great example of one. You see that when I move right there? Let's see how I can make my under eyes look as worse as possible. That would be a good one for me to test a brighter shade. Let's see if it will help. So I typically, this is linen. Do you see how bright this is? This color gives such a pop, but it also gives me high texture. And I feel like that didn't even do that much. I literally just have this. It's pretty much just a wrinkle, and it's just impossible to get small enough to get in there without touching the area around it. You touch the area around it, suddenly it doesn't have the same effect. It's, I'd say, dependent on your eyes, how much time you want to take. I don't do this on the daily, guys. I typically know that I'm gonna have a little bit of contour around my eyes, but if I don't look tired, then I'm happy. So this side obviously looks a lot flatter than this side. And all I did was brighten key areas so I don't have any shadow. When you're strategic, I highly recommend that you still perfect, just so that, I mean, if you don't know, by now our creams don't set. So this is not gonna stay perfectly placed there all day because what? I smile a lot, not a bad thing. I have a lot of natural texture around my eyes, and that cream has to go somewhere. It will eventually migrate to the deepest creases of my eye, and it will crease or settle there. And so unless you want to do this all day and pat it out, which again, if you were strategic with your brightener, it's not going to stay in the same spot. So highly recommend a setting powder. And since we did use such a light color, I never recommend doing under eyes without the perfector perfectly prepped. So this has been sitting out. It's not too wet. It's too wet, it's gonna pull off all of that I just placed. And I wanna just barely use it so it doesn't take off too much. Now, obviously it will take off excess, okay? And you can tell it did slightly affect that area, but I would rather do that and then maybe have to barely touch before I then set it in place. Okay, so I'm gonna use Vanilla Dust, because for my under eyes, I need something that's not gonna age me. So now I'm just gonna press, just gonna tap without pulling the entire area, which will also, this Vanilla Dust, I love it because it gives a brightening effect as well. So I just wanted you guys to be able to see the difference between my two eyes. You see how much flatter this side looks than this. It's crazy what makeup can do. Makeup cannot fill in texture unless you spackle it on and are using something really thick and heavy. Makeup usually always emphasizes texture, but you can't change contours of your face, but you can definitely trick the eye, and it's pretty cool what makeup can do with the right techniques. But it's all about color, placement, application method. Tools are also big. So match the size of your brush to where, and it might also take a little bit of practice. You're not gonna get it perfect the first time, but the more you do it, the easier it's gonna get. And knowing the amounts to apply and how to set it so it lasts all day and also make a big difference. Okay, friends, so I finished my face. There you go. I hope that was helpful in knowing the difference between when you might have puffy eyes, under eye bags, versus when you need a color corrector, or if you need both, and how to change your application. I'd say skincare tips and learning a little bit about how to depuff before your makeup, and then application of your brightener. Placement is key. Practice makes perfect. That will show you the biggest difference when it comes to the way your under eyes look. So if you need help with your colors, or you're needing a color match to begin with, click that link and tell me how you like to wear your makeup and what issues you have so I know how best to match you for each one. As always, thank you guys so much for being here, and I'll see you next week. Love you.